he's become I would say I wouldn't call him a friend of the band, but he's actually lives local, and Ryan himself is actually he's been doing some sound engineering stuff for him for a couple of years. So we sent him a song, and he's like, yeah, I love it. Let's do it. And like, it was obviously, it's cool you get a name on your song, but even more when we went to a track, it was just such an exhilarating experience to see someone bring their own, thing that we could have never done, and
right, because every musician
like,
interprets things in their own way.
Yeah, he's like, he listened to the song and he's like, yeah, it sounds like a Doors song, and I don't even I hate the Doors.
Oh, really? You hate the Doors?
It's not really my
controversial statement. That's like me and Mumford and Sons.
That's not as controversial as me saying I hate the Doors.
That's maybe true. Yeah.
No, I don't hate the Doors. It's just not really my cup of tea. But he's like, yeah, it's the Doors. I'm like, yeah, you're actually right. And then we had this idea for him to record like this part and like and he's like, we get in there and he's like, yeah, I'm just going to do this. And he just crushed it, and it was such a thrilling experience just to like see someone else's, he brought his full on energy and talent to what we do and elevated what we did, and I love that kind of stuff.
I'll drop a link. I'll drop a link to the track you just referenced in the show notes. It was called Poseach.
Poseach, yeah.
And it's a really cool track. Is he doing the rapping at the end as well? I wasn't sure.
Yeah, he's doing the rapping. That's only all his part. That the whole. So the rest of it is us.
Wow.
We actually had Yehuda Solomon from Moshav do his little part on there too.
Yeah. He has a recognizable voice as well.
Yeah, he is. So
absolutely.
So we had over the summer we had ventured. We started to make an EP. We had all these songs we had been playing out, and we just wanted to release them. We pretty much are almost finished with them. We have most of the songs are finished. You know how it is, you're dragging things out, and trying to put the final touches on a bunch of things. But right now, the band thankfully there's been a lot of momentum. I'm really grateful. Like, we just came off a big show on Christmas Eve, Hanukkah in the city, and we had like 500-600 people there. It was really
That's
cool.
Great.
And people are, they're starting to really get interested in the things that we're doing, which is funny to me. But
if you persist long enough, people will eventually catch on.
I hope so.
That seems to be the secret. Just keep doing it.
I hope so. I'm a live guy. Like, that's what really has been pulling me for the last bit. The live experience in booking shows, and I manage a bunch of other bands.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. I find that it's obviously it's becoming so more and more challenging to draw people out to live shows, and figuring out a way to cultivate an experience that people want to be around, and you don't want to
their
put
phones
too much
and off their
work.
butts.
Yeah, it's like people. It used to be you needed let's go out. Like, now you need to give people like 15 reasons to come out for a night, and it's expensive, and it's a lot of. There's so many other options. Why should someone come out and see you play? It's a real question that a lot of people are grappling with now. In the scene. Luckily, we're in New York.
So interesting. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We're in New York. Like, I can't complain. It's like, it's at the end of the day, it's still New York, and it's going to be better than most places. And we have a built-in crowd, and I'm not going to sit here and cry that people are showing up to our shows, thankfully. But it's definitely, I see around, and it's just hard, and it doesn't really matter how good the band is anymore. People need another reason to go, and as opposed, in addition to the music or something that they like, So it's been an interesting kind of.
What's an example of something you use to lure people to get out of their houses?
I think it's more of, communicating a message that the place you're going to go tonight is the place you want to be. Meaning, I think, especially in an age of so many options, where you have options for anything at any time. You want anything. It's just anything you want at any time, you get it. People are scared of making decisions that they're going to regret 20 minutes later because, you know what? Hey, I don't want to be here. So it paralyzes them. I speak to people all the time. I try to crowdsource a lot. Just friends, other people. Just ask, even if they're not. I'm like, what do you think? Would you be interested in going to a show like this? If you saw this ad, Is this something that you would say, hey, you know what, I'm going to consider going to this? Just to hear what people are saying. And most of the time now, it's like, nah. You know, unless all their friends are going, or, you know, they really, really like the music. So the thing is, oftentimes, the music eventually draws you in. And you go to see someone, you're not sure about it, and even if you don't know the band, and you're like, oh, this is great. Most of the time, at the end of the day, the music's going to be powerful enough to make you come back and stay. But getting people out initially, even if, you know, it's hard. So
and you get that initial like lubrication to get through the door.
Yeah, you know, people also don't want to. They don't want to go out. They don't want going out to feel like a chore, especially in New York City where it's hard to get around. It's like there's a lot of, especially if you're driving, but sometimes, you know, going out it's a chore. You know, you gotta, either if you have kids, or even if you're just have school, or you're in work, and it's hard.
I never get out anymore.
Yeah, I don't go to shows anymore. I don't. Like, I never go to shows. I don't want. I don't know. I'd rather just sit around, play guitar, or work on some songs, or just. It's hard.
I just don't have energy by the end of the day. I'm done. Like, you know.
Yeah.
By the time my kids in bed, I'm passing out. You know.
I get it. And I don't even have any kids. You know, I get it.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, people want to feel elevated. Whether it may sound not necessarily spiritual. They want to feel elevated by the music that really can connect to them and speak to them, and they want to trust the people that are playing, that they're gonna, you know, put on a show that really makes them feel good. And it's now with, hey, I don't want to go to a show. I'll just live stream it, or I'll just go to I'll go on YouTube and I'll watch a full on show of Foo Fighters. That, you know,
right.
I say that just because I was watching it last night. Yeah, like, why not? Like, I know I love the Foo Fighters. I could stay in my bed. I can watch it on the big screen. Don't have to go anywhere. It's hard. Now, it's, you know, I'm maybe a little off topic, but I listen to a lot of people talk about these kinds of things, and when it comes to sports too, sports in America, and there's something that you know, people who are really, you know, in charge of, you know, the industry, this is a topic they're all grappling with now.
Yeah.
And entertainment too, entertainment venues. You know, touring in America in general has been at an all-time high. It's kind of ironic.
Right, because people don't make money off of streaming as much, you know, as they used to do when they were selling albums, and so the touring is the revenue, right?
Yeah, but, you know, the venues they're all aware of this now. They're all like, yeah, we need to start doing things to give people a reason to come out. And like, there's billions of dollars in the industry, this research and and venue development, and, you know, show experience.
Wow.
And all that kind of stuff. It's the future. It's really going to be the future. And I don't think it's going to be that far off. You know, a lot of, you know, everything, connectivity and all that kind of stuff. Inside arenas and inside venues. You know, in New York, it's funny because, you know, it's like all these venues, they're all, that most bands are playing, they're all old school. And they're all kind of like, you know, in a downstairs somewhere, or in a grimy room, which is part of the appeal, obviously.
Yeah.
But you already starting to see a shift here. You know, Bowery, Webster Hall shut down for a year and a half to renovate. You know, things obviously are closing and opening, but the bigger venues are all kind of adding new things to it, and it's no, we're on a much smaller level. But I always try to think about what else is happening in the general landscape of music and the entertainment industry, and, you know, how can I, and even on a small scale, you know, transfer that to what we're doing.
Amazing. Well, so tell me a bit. What else are you doing other than the Yimmy project? Like, what bands are you managing? What is managing? Like, tell me about that. So
I actually would rather not share the names right now, because it's not total public knowledge.
That's fair.
But I will say there's a bunch of solo artists that I'm starting now to really develop some plans with, and there's another band is we'll see. But
cool.
Over the last 2 years, you know, people, I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm the right guy to come, but I've found myself in a position to try to help guide some people, different bands and different groups in different ways. I love doing that. I love, bringing what I can bring, if anything, to someone else's. I love perspective and add my own 2 cents. It's just, everyone's struggling now for just, exposure, trying to get people to listen to them. Trying to put out a song, you work 4 months on a song, put it out, 3 days later, no one cares anymore. Yeah, and people are looking for answers, and I'm usually just part of the group, the thinking that's like make good stuff, and it'll come around to you. Mm-hmm. Right now, I'm starting to actually really start working on my own solo stuff, which I haven't done in quite some time. I'm really excited about. I've always put aside my own music and even my own songwriting because I love playing. I love bands. I love community. Yeah. In music, it's like part of it's. It can the balance is sometimes hard, but I find power in community when it comes to music. And
yeah, I mean, I relate to that as a bass player. Like, there's no, for me, like, there's no instrument that's more fun to play in the context of a group than the bass. Because I feel like I'm bridging so many things and I'm involved in that. But as like a singer-songwriter, the bass is not so fun, right? So I'll pick up the guitar or the piano.
I have to say this. I probably should have been a bass player.
Oh, nice. So many people admit this over the years.
I would love to be a bass player. Like, I just, I play guitar. I'm okay. I love it, and I know
a bunch of guitarists have told me this.
Oh man, it's the most fun thing. It's just so awesome. And I get to play bass sometimes here and there. I played a couple gigs just faking it the whole time, literally. But I get it. Like, it's so great. It's so great.
Yeah, it's that. Yeah, it's
that glue.
We're the ambassador kind of thing.
It's the glue.
We're not the head of state, but we're
But who wants to be the head of state?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a hard job.
Totally. Yeah. So, dude, good luck with your solo projects. That sounds exciting.
I appreciate
it. Do you mind getting into a bit more about what you do when you manage? Like, what exactly are you doing for these artists? Like, what does that entail?
The first thing is, for me, when I'm evaluating someone, it's, what do you have? I mean, like, not are you good, because, anyone has any chance of in success in music, they'll have something they can really bring to the table. And learning over the years in my own exploration of music, discovering that, especially, and it's something I yearn back for. I wish I was around then in the 60s and 70s when music was so much less about perfection and about, clean ends and, everything tied up neatly. And when, there's music is so vast and people have so much to give and to show. And so much of that is spirit, listen to, Dylan or even like CCNY or the Grateful Dead or the Allman Brothers, their guitars are out of tune, and like their voices, like they didn't. But there's a certain energy to that music that is just magical, and it's incredible. And like you can with people now, it's like, oh, everything needs to be tuned, everything needs to be perfect. So, which is in a way it's a good thing, but when I'm looking at artists and so, what do you have that can really speak to people or speak to a crowd and some interesting? What's interesting about your music, and what can you do to bring it? Whether or not it's a band that is super technical, and if that band is super technical, then you kind of that's what you should pursue, that kind of thing, and that's what your success is going to be in, and because that's what you're good at. If your band is kind of like a open kind of vibey kind of thing, and then you kind of then really cultivate that kind of energy and build a community around that, because that's that's what if you're a singer-songwriter who's lyrically
it's like
really
a lot
great.
of branding, and it's like almost like marketing. It's like I was talking to my friend yesterday, 2 days ago. I really don't remember. I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was like